full council meeting, our annual meeting, being held here today at Newton Lees Pavilion on the 7th of May 2024. I am Nathaniel Kelly-Wilson. I'm currently chair of the council and will be chairing the first part of this meeting. Before we start, there are some housekeeping points to note. We are not expecting a fire drill, so if the fire alarm sounds, please leave as quickly as possible. The fire exits are located to the front and rear of us. The toilets are also located behind us. Please could all people present turn off your mobile phones or put them to silent. We want everybody to be able to hear, so please respect whoever is speaking by not chatting amongst yourselves. Also, you should be aware that the meeting may be recorded and the recording will be streamed on our social media channels. This meeting will be held entirely in public, apart from one of the final agenda items. It may be necessary to exclude members of the public because of commercial sensitivity. We will discuss that when we get to that item. Any decisions made if we go into that session will be recorded in the draft minutes and will be available on our website as soon as possible. Okay, so now to the first order of business. Item 1, election of chair of council. Are there any nominations?
I will nominate Ethan for chair again this year.
I'll second that. I'd like to nominate Keith.
I'll second that.
Yes.
You just said yes. I thought you were about 5 minutes. No.
Oh, it's been done now. Still got a vote, sorry.
Okay. So do you accept the nomination?
No.
Okay. Does anybody else want to nominate anybody else?
Ishmael.
Ishmael's not a member of council at the moment.
Really? Okay, are there any other nominations? No. Okay. Do people want to vote for the one person that's been nominated so far?
No.
Yeah, go on.
What do you mean? You just nominated it.
All those in favour of the nomination? Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? Okay, so I think that is carried with one dissenter. Okay, so any the next item of business.
Chair, you've now got to make your declaration of acceptance of the office of chair, which I have here.
Try again. Second time.
Okay. Okay, that is now signed. Item number 2, election of vice chair of council. Are there any nominations for the vice chair?
Richard.
Okay.
And I'd like to nominate Terry.
Okay. So, Richard, are you happy to accept the nomination? Terry, are you happy to accept the nomination? Okay, any other people want to be nominated? Okay, so could all people raise their hands in favour of Richard? 1, 2, Ishmael, you don't count.
Yes,
Terry,
Ishmael.
4, 5. All those in favour of Terry? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that so it's Richard. Yeah. So Richard is elected as vice chair. Does he need to sign something? No. Okay. Okay, so item 3, declarations of acceptance of office from councillors. Have all councillors now completed?
Everybody who's here has completed their declaration of acceptance of office. Councillor Hume, who I am expecting, has not completed his yet.
Okay.
But I am expecting him here tonight. Councillor Imran was unable to attend the meeting and or come into the office beforehand to complete his form. So I would suggest that you pass a resolution to allow him to sign his at a later date.
Okay.
And as we don't know why Ed's not here, maybe you.
Oh, Ed's just coming in.
Oh, is he coming in? Okay, Ed can sign his now.
Okay. So I would like to propose that Sorry, what's the date of the next meeting?
Don't know until you approve the calendar. I can put it in the minutes.
Okay. So I would like to propose for any councillor that is not signed a declaration of office by the next full council meeting, they do not take their positions of councillor as councillors. Do I have a seconder? Okay, all those in favour?
Take it.
Anyone against? Any abstentions? So I think that is carried by majority. Just wait for Councillor Hume to sign his declaration.
There's always one.
I just would like to say thank you to everybody for being so cooperative about it, because we have got them all done in a timely way. Apart from the one.
Okay, so item 5, to note any councillors' declarations of interest in matters on the agenda. Do any councillors need to make a declaration?
Sorry, can we just do apologies for
Oh, sorry, have I missed that? Tipped it. Okay, apologies for absence.
Yes, Councillor Imran.
Okay, noted. Item 5, to note any councillors' declarations of interest in matters on the agenda. Do any councillors have interest? No, I take that silence that there are no interests to note, and we can move on. Next item on the agenda, pages 1 to 6 of your pack, the minutes of the meeting of Tuesday the 30th of April. Unless I hear from any councillor now that there is any changes to be made, which I haven't heard before the meeting, I will deem that the minutes are accepted and you're happy for me to sign them. Are councillors happy? Agree?
Yeah.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to consider co-option to a casual vacancy on the town council, and former councillor Ismail Hussain would like to be co-opted as a councillor. Ish, did you want to take up to 3 minutes to tell the members here why you would want to stand as a co-opted councillor?
I don't need 3 minutes, but if you really want to be a councillor again, so I would really appreciate your support and fully pledge myself to working with the councils.
Do any members have any questions for Ishmael? No? Okay, we'll move to the vote. So I will propose that Ismail Hussain is co-opted to the council. Do I have a seconder? With a seconder. All those in favour? I think that's unanimous. Thank you. Could Ismail please sign his declaration of office so he can take?
Okay, now there's just one small thing that we need to decide which ward he has been co-opted to.
Oh, did you say which ward you want to be? And it might be that you have a vacancy locally to where you live, which might be better.
We can manage south.
Just sign that one and then.
Not that anyone had an issue with Newton Lees, but.
Take those home.
There's 3 of us there.
So myself.
Thank you. Okay.
Fine. Okay, on to the next item on the agenda, to review and approve the committee structure and scheme of delegations, which is pages 7 to 42 in your pack. Is there anything you wanted to say to this?
I think it's pretty. Straightforward. I have included. I've redrafted the scheme of delegations in the committee on the basis of what was agreed. What was talked about at the last meeting of the old council. My suggestion would be that I've tried to update all the terms of reference. My suggestion would be that we allow planning to go to any of the committees, with the exception of the appeals committee, probably. And I do need to update the terms of reference to make that very explicit. I ran out of time to do that. And I think I've put in the terms of reference that anything over 6 houses should come to full council, but that might be a bit low. I don't know how you feel about that. So that's one of the things I've proposed in the document. And then the other thing is, based on the discussion last week, the 2 substantive committees, the Finance and Governance and the Community Environment, could be either 7 or 9 members, and you'd still have a quorum of 3. So that's a matter for you to determine which quorum you want. It might be wise to see how many people are interested in the different committees before you decide on the size.
Does anyone have any comments or questions about the document and the proposals that were in? It was discussed at the last full meeting of council. No? Okay. So are these committees now agreed by councillors and happy to move forward? And shall we not set a number and see how many councillors want to be on each committee and then ratify that at that point? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we will review and approve the committee structure and scheme and delegations. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you.
And you're sure you're happy with events as a working group and not as a group? Yes.
Okay, so to appoint members, item 9 on the agenda, to appoint members to committees and subcommittees. 9.1, Finance and Governance Committee. Which members would want to be appointed to the Finance and Governance Committee?
That's only that's 6.
Sorry, we've got.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody else want to go on finance? No. Okay.
So the quorum for that, we've got 7 people nominated, so you could stick with the quorum. Yeah. You could stick with the membership.
So the thing that I would say is 7 is a really low number for this committee, and it moves a lot of business. And actually, I would ask members. The quorum is 3. I think that 3 people turning up to discuss our finances is really low. So it would be really appreciated if we could, all make the effort to attend those meetings where possible. Next item, 9.2, Community and Environment Committee. Which members would like to go on this committee? Could you please raise your hand?
That's 9.
So that's also a quorum of 3.
It's also a quorum of 3. Yes. It does seem, just picking up on your earlier point, that finance and governance does, as you say, move a lot of business and have a lot of. It's a shame we've not got 9 for each room. But there we are. We've got.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the Employment Policy Committee. That's 9.3, and a reminder, there was a commitment to either have a qualification in HR or to be willing to attend training to go on this this committee. So all those who would like to be a member of the Employment Policy,
puts my hand up.
All those who want to be elected to the committee. Got 4. Would anyone and councillor want to go on? I think we need another one. Eagley, would you be interested?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Because I think it would be lovely to have some female input into that committee and not be, full of men. So thank you for doing that. Okay, the next item is Appeals Committee, and this is used if if there are anyone makes a grievance or there is a disciplinary and somebody appeals against a sanction. So it may well be that having this committee, we would have to arrange for you to be supported by somebody who's got a HR qualification or experience, but who would be
not ideally not members of the employment policy.
Sorry, ideally not members of the employment policy committee. And I would also say we've not had to have an appeal committee for a number of years. So there we go. All those who are interested in being in the appeal committee.
There's 5, that's excellent.
Okay. Next item is 9.5.
Before you go, Chair, I should have put this more clearly on the agenda. Before we move on to the subgroups, would you like to elect the chairs and vice chairs to the committees?
Yes, sorry, I forgot.
Well, no, it's we do that.
Okay, if we can go back to 9.1, any nomination to the chair of finance?
I nominate Keith.
You happy to accept the nomination? All those in favour of electing Keith Healy as the chair of finance? Thank you. Okay, do we have any nominations for the vice chair of finance?
Butcher, Ethan, Richard, Eamon, Celia, Ron.
I'd like to nominate, how do you pronounce your name? Ophelia. Ophelia. Yeah.
I was just about to do that. I was just about to do that. Yeah, I will second that. Okay, any other nominations? Okay, all those in favour? Okay, so are you happy to accept the nomination? It's already happened. Okay, next item on the so election to the community, election of chair to the Community and Environment Committee. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Terry.
I second it.
Terry, are you happy to accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay, any other nominations? Okay, all those in favour of the nomination? Okay, that is unanimous. Vice Chair of the Community and Environment Committee.
I nominate Marie.
Are you happy to accept the nomination?
Yeah.
Okay, any other nominations? All those in favour of the nomination? Okay. Next item, Employment and Policy Committee. So anyone happy to nominate? Sorry.
I'm happy to nominate myself.
Okay. Are you happy with your nomination?
I am happy with the nomination. But somebody seconded it.
Okay. All those, any other nominations? Okay. All those in favour? Okay, thank you very much. That is carried. Next is Chair and Vice Chair of the Vice Chair of the Employment Policy Committee. Does anyone wish to make a nomination? So I am going to nominate Ophelia for Vice Chair of this committee. I know that is 2, but I also think, like for the reasons that I said earlier, the HR committee and yeah. Would you accept it?
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
I say Vice Chair.
Okay. All those in.
That's the chair.
That's the Vice Chair.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm already the chair.
okay.
Oh, right. Yes.
All those in favour of the nomination. Thank you. I've done everything now.
Yeah, well, the thing with the appeals committee is you can nominate a chair and if everyone's happy to go ahead and do that, but it isn't essential to do that because the appeal committee only meets in certain
I will let the appeals. So I propose that we let the appeals committee nominate a chair and a vice chair if they so need to. Yeah. Everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next item is the events working group. Is it a working group?
It is a working group.
Yeah. And nominations to that. Who wishes to go on to the events working group? So.
Terry. Richard. Ethan, anybody else?
Ish.
And
Ophelia.
And Ophelia.
And
Okay, so everybody happy with those nominations? Great, okay. Final one, 9.5, Clerk's Performance Management Subcommittee, and you need to be a member of the Employment Policy Committee to go on this committee. And I think there's 3 normally.
yeah,
Okay, so any members of the Employment Policy Committee?
I was going to say it's already defined. We still define it for 2 of the membership of that.
yeah, it's usually chair of the council and chair of.
Okay,
employment
so there's
committee.
1 space.
Put your name on it.
So I was actually going to say the vice chair. Do you want to go on it? Yeah. Okay. All those in favour of that? Thank you. Right, that is all resolved. Thank you. Next item of the agenda is item 10, pages 43 to 86 of your pack, to review the council's standing orders and financial regulations.
So, Chair, if I could just say that nothing has changed with standing orders. We don't normally do a detailed review of standing orders at the annual meeting, but we have to review them and adopt them again. And financial regulations, you adopted new financial regulations last week. The old council did, and these are just exactly the same. So just before I see this one, unless there's something that you wish to suddenly propose.
So I will move that we adopt these standing orders and financial regulations. Seconded. All members happy? Anybody against? Anybody abstaining? I think that is carried unanimously. Next item on the agenda, item 11, to review representation on external bodies and arrangements for reporting back. The first one, 11.1, is Milton Keynes City Council Parish Forum. We have 2 representatives. Currently, they are Councillor Stevens and the Town Clerk, and both are prepared to continue as representatives. So does anybody else wish to be nominated to this, or are they happy with that nomination?
I'm happy to step in when Terry can't make it.
Okay.
Because I'm quite interested in that.
Okay.
To help me.
So what we're saying is the clerk and Councillor Stevens would go with you as a nominated deputy.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, all those in favour of that nomination? Anybody against? Any abstentions? That is carried unanimously. The next nominations is the Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes Association of Local Councils. 2 representatives required. Does anyone want to go to this? I think I am the rep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anyone else who wants to go?
It has to be a councillor, it can't be an officer.
Okay. So another councillor that wishes to go?
How often are they?
Oh, rare as hen's teeth.
Oh, okay.
And in the middle of Buckinghamshire.
Well, take me when she.
I'll take you.
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll bring you back.
Some random village.
So all those happy with myself and Councillor Weimer attending as the representative rep? All those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? That is carried unanimously. Next item is 11.3, the Lakes Estate Renewal Forum. Currently the clerk attends. I know, Councillor Weimer, you attend in another capacity.
Yeah, was that supposed to be a thingy declaration?
No. So do you want to continue?
I would like to continue attending because I find it really useful. But also, I think Councillor Hume is a member in his capacity as a city councillor. So that's 3 people potentially representing town council.
Okay, everybody happy with that?
Representing the town council.
No, not representing, but hearing things that can then be passed on to the town council. I would be representing the town council.
Everybody happy with Clark?
Yep.
All those in favour? Okay, that is everybody. Next item is the Bletchley and Fenny Stratford Town Deal Board. The clerk is currently the member, and any change would need to be approved by the Town Deal Board. Everybody happy with it remaining as it is? All those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? That is carried unanimously. Item 11.5, the Southern Chase Subcommittee with West Bletchley Council.
Is that still in existence?
Yes, I believe so. We were also due to have another meeting with representatives of West Bletchley Council to talk about the development of the road, the bypass that there is no funding for at the moment. So those two are still sort of on the radar. And when the clerk of West Bletchley retired, she did remind me that we're still due to have that meeting with representatives of West Bletchley Council.
So I think I'm one of the members on this committee.
I think you were involved in, I think so, yes, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm very interested in inter-council relations. Is there anybody else who wants to attend? Richard. Okay, any other members or interested? No, are you happy with Richard and I to attend? Always in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? That is carried. Bletchley and Fenny Stratford Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group, 5 representatives. So anybody who wants to stand on this committee? So I think we have 5.
I was on that one, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to stand?
Just let me check I've got this. So we've got Terry, Ethan, Richard, Marie, Liz, and Israel.
Anybody else want to stand?
Got Ishmael.
Okay. All those in favour of the members standing? Okay, that is carried. Okay, next item on the agenda, that concludes that item of business. Next item is item 12, to review and approve the asset register and inventory of equipment. This is page 87 to 88 in your pack. Is there anybody wanting to talk to this?
No, Chair. This is, again, the Finance Committee review this in more detail at a different point in the year, but we do need to approve it at the annual meeting because it's in our standing orders to do so. So there's no change.
I will propose that we approve this document. It's seconded. All those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? Okay, that is carried. Next item on the agenda is item 13, which is to confirm existing arrangements for insurance cover in respect of all risks. At the annual meeting on 24th of May 2022, it was resolved that based on the recommendation of the Finance and Governance Committee, the Council enter into a 3-year agreement for insurance cover with Zurich Municipal. This is the final year?
No, this is the second year.
Okay. So members happy to carry on with that agreement? I propose that happens. Seconded. All those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? No, that is carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda is item 14. This is pages 107 to 108 in your pack, to review and approve subscriptions to other bodies. 14.1, Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes Association of Local Councils, including our contribution to NALC. Is there a value?
Yes, I thought there was a paper attached.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, paper attached.
Sorry, I've got it. That's almost £3,099.60. All those, I will propose that we continue that. It's seconded by Richard. All those in favour of adopting this? Anybody against? Any abstentions? That is carried unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the Society of Local Council Clerks. I think that the clerk will tell me that this is a really important part of her role. So it's something that we can't do without, and the cost is £503. I propose that we do accept that. It's seconded. All those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? That is carried unanimously. Next item is 14.3, the National Allotment Association. That is for £55, and I think that we get information from there, which is quite useful. So I propose, it's been seconded by Richard. All those in favour? So anybody against? Any abstentions? That is carried unanimously. The next item on the agenda, between pages 109 and 214, is to review and approve council's policies and procedures as follows. So that's, do you want to do these separately?
You can do them on block
Okay.
unless members have got specific items they wish.
Do any members want to talk about any items of these policies which should have been read before the meeting? No? And they were, I don't believe that they have changed massively.
No. I think no, they've all been to council and approved in the state they're in.
So I will propose that the complaints procedure for data and protection and freedom information policies, the press and media policy, and our employment policies and procedures are adopted en masse and yes, so I propose that, seconded. All those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? We've adopted those. Next item on the agenda is item 16, which is pages 215 to 216 in your pack, which is to review a revised annual calendar of meetings.
Yes, and this is slightly different from the proposed calendar that I put forward last week in order to accommodate the year end more easily. So it is slightly different, but it's the same pattern. And if you approve this tonight, what we'll do is send out cancel all the old diary invites, send out all the new diary invites tomorrow, and issue the calendar to everybody as well separately and be on the website and everything. So last chance really.
Any comments or questions about this calendar?
Chair, can I? Finance and governance. The last meeting before we set the budget is the 10th of December.
Yes.
And normally the budget has to be set by about the end of February. And we lose 2 months of consideration.
Well, if you see it, we've put first draft of the budget on the 8th of October. Our standing orders require that everybody supplies their estimates, all the different committees supply their estimates in November, which gives you a second go at the budget in finance and governance on the 10th of December. And then the pre-set meeting in mid-January, which is a bit earlier than we've done it before. But it should be ready. I think it's okay, but if you feel that you need another finance and governance.
You've got a space on the 7th of January.
There is a space on the 7th of January. And there is also the opportunity to move the full council if we're struggling with the budget, or have another full council on the 28th of January. The deadline from Milton Keynes City Council is usually the last day of January for the budget submission.
So when will full council approve it?
On the 14th of January.
Full council on the 11th of March.
That's the next
second
page. You need to be on the first page. But, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, on this one.
That's very easily done.
Sorry, I should have lifted the page. Sorry, you've got one on the 4th, the finance on the 4th of February, haven't you? My apologies. Yes, that does meet it.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Everybody happy? So I'll propose that with the revised annual calendar of meetings is adopted. That is seconded by Richard. All those in favour? Okay, so that is carried unanimously.
Can I just ask a question? When we send the calendar invites out for these meetings, would you prefer to be invited to every meeting, or just the meetings that you're a member of?
Just to make
Just want to be clear. Yeah, just want to be clear.
Which one?
Just the meetings
that you're a member of. You have the annual calendar anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so item 17, To note that the general power of competence will be unavailable to the council, and section 137 of the Local Government Act 1972 may be used for activities for which there is not an alternative power, provided the relevant test is met. Expenditure under section 137 of the Local Government Act 1972 is limited to £10.81 per elector for the financial year 2024 to 25.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a blow. This is a bit of a blow that we no longer qualify for the general power of competence, which means that the auditors will require us to specify the power that we're using whenever we undertake any activity. And if we can't find a designated power, instead of being able to use the general power of competence, we can use section 137 of the Local Government Act, but that expenditure is capped. So when council's considering spending money on things where we don't have specific power, they will have to be guided by that, and there will be a limit on how much can be spent. So it's just going to be a bit of a nuisance, but it's a consequence of not having thirds of our members elected this year. So yeah, we'll be putting it on reports in future so that you can see which power we're using to do everything we do.
Okay. That is noted. I'm really happy to note that. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 18, public speaking. Have anybody asked to speak?
Nope.
No public speaking this evening, so we will move on. Item 19, this is a motion to consider banking hub. So it's one, to consider the motion that Bletchley and Fenny Stratford Town Council supports the principle of an establishment of a banking hub in central Bletchley, and agrees to request that Milton Keynes City Council identifies premises and facilitates the creation of a hub if deemed to be viable. I believe that this mirrors a proposal motion that has been considered by West Bletchley Council.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Does anybody want to speak on it?
I would like to speak on it. Just I haven't actually got a proposal or a seconder for this motion confirmed, but I've put it on the agenda at the request of West Bletchley Council. Also, we had correspondence from members of the community who have asked whether the town council would be interested in supporting a banking, and it has come up at the town deal advisory community advisory group. So it seems important that you have the opportunity to consider this. Cash Access is the provider that is usually used, and but obviously there need to be suitable premises identified and provided to enable this project to go ahead. Buckingham Town Council have recently worked in partnership with Buckinghamshire Council to provide a banking hub in Buckingham, and it's been well received by the community. So it's not an unusual thing for a town and parish council to do, and we have a relevant power to do it with.
Yeah, I've seen, because is that connected to the one where they sort of drive a caravan in?
No, it's a different thing. So the caravan is sort of mobile banking.
Yeah, no, I knew
and
that.
this is a dedicated premises where there's a different bank in the premises every day. There'll be the opportunity to access cash, but on the day that your bank is in the banking hub, you can also do business with your bank on the day that your bank is in the hub.
Thanks.
Well, I suppose we go along with this because it's a very good idea, especially for the older people being back to the city centre. I've spoken to a lot of residents about it. It took me a while to explain what it was, but they seem to think it was a good idea. And the one in Buckingham seems to be working very well. So I would urge the council to go forward with this.
Anyone else want to speak? Terry?
There's been a lot of work done by the Bletchley Parks Residents Association around this, in terms of how the scheme works and what's best. So I think it's a really good idea.
And I was going to do one's just done and propose it, as written in the papers, to consider the motion that Bletchley and Fenny Stratford Town Council supports the principle of establishment of the bank hub in central Bletchley, and agrees to request that MKCC identifies premises and facilitates the creation of the hub if deemed to be viable.
Great, so you're happy to second that motion?
Yeah, as it's written,
Yeah, okay. Ish.
Just a quick question, where does the funding come from?
Via cash access and the banks that provide the service. So there's funding so that they fund part of it, but I'm not entirely clear on the detail of who funds the premises and the charges on that. So I think this is because this motion is quite general and says if viable, if deemed to be viable, you're not really committing us off to anything to finances. I think it would need to be worked through depending on the premises and all the rest of it.
Okay, anyone else want to speak? No, so there is a proposal on the table, it is seconded. All those in favour of the proposal? Anybody against? Any abstentions? That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 20, financial matters, 20.1, a summary financial statement showing income and expenditure against budget to date to 30th of April 2024. That's pages 221 to 222 in your pack. Any comments about this?
Noted.
Okay, next item on your agenda, 20.2, ratification of payments made or due to be made before the next meeting of the Finance and Governance Committee. That is pages 223 to 228 in your pack. Any comments or questions? Everybody happy to note and approve? Thank you. Okay, item 21, to approve arrangements for the Big Street Eat.
Yes, so we've got Davina here online and John to talk to the council about the arrangements.
Okay. Who'd like to start?
I'm going to pass you over to Davina. She's going to show a slide deck and go through it all.
Hi there, Davina.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First of all, I've got a bit of a cough, so apologies if I bark down the screen. Right, let me share my screen. So hopefully you can see this. There we go. Okay, so obviously we're talking about the Big Street Eat 2024. I just wanted to recap a little bit on some of the feedback we had about last year's event. Not enough interactive elements for kids, not enough of the kind of kids characters walking around and stuff. So even though we had the parade and that was all quite interactive with the dancers and things, just that element for the younger visitors. More slightly affordable food elements. Obviously the thing that you have with street food is that it can be quite sorry, it can be quite expensive. So we're looking at that as well. Obviously, and this came up at iftar as well, the portion sizes. So street food tends to cater, or kind of pop-up food tends to cater kind of one meal size. So looking at addressing that, because we do get a range of kind of, it's a family event. Positively, great footfall and really good atmosphere throughout the day. And then the big one that we've had, I think, consistently across the bigger events, is that there's not necessarily enough visitors towards the Elizabeth Square end. So that's the end down near Subway on the kind of leisure centre side of things. So the footfall tends to kind of peter off a little bit as we get further down the road for various reasons. Some of the 2024 themes, not just with us, but across the country for this kind of year, there's a big, obviously, focus on sport with the football and the Olympics going on. For us in particular, and it's an ongoing theme really, but focusing on physical and mental health of residents in our community, and really encouraging that ongoing theme of community inclusion, and giving families the opportunity to spend time together in a non-stressful environment. It's always good to kind of review the event goals, belonging and inclusion, kind of talking about working together, bringing together those businesses and services that we can offer, promoting confidence in the area, especially with we won't talk about parking and all the other bits, but making sure that we can kind of highlight positives of living and working in Bletchley and Fenny Stratford, and raising the profile overall of the town council, as well as the efforts that we put towards what we do. So the proposal for the 2024 theme is really following on. There's a couple of things here. So it's following on from the last year was the Big Street, the art edition. So this year we're taking it to be the play edition, with just a bit of a subline to say it's not just for kids, because obviously if you talk about play, that people potentially think about kind of younger visitors. And really, you know, we all know that playfulness can benefit everybody in lots of ways. So mental well-being, relationships, problem solving, and that, you know, there's a lot going on in the world at the moment. So creating an environment where people can come to relax and kind of get immersed in just having fun is a great way to do that. And it also allows us to cover off themes like the Olympics and well-being and vitality, but in an accessible way. You know, if you have an event that's kind of, let's talk about vitality, that might not necessarily encourage huge footfall. So this is a way to do that. Some of the graphics and stuff is still to be worked on, but that's just kind of to give you a bit of an overview. Next, why is it not working? There we go. How do we do it? So the overall budget is 25k. So the 20,000 was approved by community committee, and Clark has secured 5,000 extra funding from Milton Keynes Council, with a focus on health and vitality, the ability to bring that to the event. And based on last year's income, we've a predicted event income for 3,000 as well this year. Similarly, kind of the ways to do that are working with the businesses and the partners that we have within the area, that kind of are mutually beneficial relationships. So how do we link it to health and vitality? We can do some really lovely things around kind of all the activities, etc. But one of the kind of biggest things that seems to hold the most success for us across our events is having those kind of clue trails or on the day challenges, like worksheets that people fill in. So looking at stuff like step challenge or ticking off when you've eaten a different coloured food, all those sorts of things, and we can include prizes. So it really gets people moving and involved and thinking about how they're interacting with the day as well. This also has the additional benefit of driving footfall to different areas of the event as well, because we can obviously hide clues in different places, or all those sorts of things. One thing to note on there is the interactive cooking demo. So there's some conversations ongoing at the moment around someone like, for example, the MK Cooking School to come and host a live cooking session that people can get involved in, 10-15 minute kind of sessions where they make something out of fruit or vegetables, fruit skewers or spring rolls, etc. So it's a way for them to get involved and take away a skill with them as well, and obviously, you know, free to do or funded by the town council. That's an example there. We've covered off a lot of those. Some interesting points from there is working potentially with one of the larger organisations in the area to have free fruit and veg boxes that people can take away with maybe a recipe card or something, to give access to that they don't normally get access to, and really working hard on those part or fully funded healthy meals for kids. So potentially working with one or two of our food vendors for the day for them to provide a selection of meals, and we need to kind of work through the specific logistics of how we do that. But as an example, at £5 per meal, that's potentially 300 meals that we could provide, and we need to work out how we get that distributed correctly, either via the food bank or in partnership with the larder, to reach the right kind of residents within our area. So there's something to kind of think about, and if I can have your feedback on that, that would be fabulous as well. Entertainment. So how are we going to bring the street alive? I've not got all of the examples here, just wanted to show you some of the key highlights, and then there are a couple of decisions that I'd hope to get some feedback on as well. So this is it looks quite large here, but it definitely fits in our spaces. So this is a inflatable hungry hippos, for you to kind of get the balls and get run around a little bit. a go-karting, and this is for kind of ages 6 to 11, I think they said it was. And these are staffed, by the way. So I know that staffing for the officer team for events on the days, we don't have endless amounts of team. So the quotes include staff for the larger activities. So Hungry Hippos is staffed, go-karting is staffed. This is a nice way to bring in the Olympics, and it's a bit like bowling as well, which is a popular sport, obviously. So this is curling, and this is staffed as well. And again, it's that kind of large interactive space for people to get involved in. We've got some stuff to cover for the weather as well. So the play bus and the game bus, which I know the game bus we've had before, and that's been very popular. So alongside the usual things like live music and performances, kids' characters, face painting. That's just a high level view of some of the bits that we're proposing to include in the day. Am I right to talk about this? Am I, John?
Yeah, spending.
Yeah, fine. Cool. So predicted spend, just a really overview of some of the high level items. So for example, the road closure and security is something that we do obviously for the bigger events. And the infrastructure around soundstage and power really are the two bigger investments to the event, but they manage our risk and create an event that's kind of a lot more professional and safe and secure. And there's a lot of skill that comes with those teams that come on site that we just, as the town council, we don't have ourselves. So to make sure that it's safe to run. I'm going to move on because the decisions kind of influence some of what we're going to do here. So there's three things that I'd like your advice or feedback on. So the stage location. Traditionally, what we do is we have the stage up at the bandstand end, so up near the Brunel Centre, and that creates a really vibrant atmosphere where we can have seating around it, and obviously the live acts, etc., etc. And then the atmosphere of the day tends to carry down towards kind of Palmer's, where we've got more stall, or obviously we've got stalls running along the Queensway. But as you get kind of past Palmer's and further down, the footfall, excuse me, the footfall and the atmosphere tends to kind of get a little bit quieter. And so the proposal is that we move the stage to halfway. Big Street E1, just to note, by the way, had a stage at both ends, and it didn't seem to create any difference in that footfall flow. There still seemed to be a kind of main stage area, and it was still quieter at Elizabeth End. And at Christmas, we obviously had the panto down at Elizabeth End as well. And that, although helped a little bit, still didn't generate an even flow of footfall across the area. So the proposal is that we have, I'm just going to try and show you something a bit more specific. Here we go. So this is the area around Palmer's where you could have the stage. And because where it is halfway down, what it does is it allows you to have seating, etc., in a slightly wider area. And you can have speakers down at both ends. And because we've got large items of entertainment at both ends, it then allows a more even footfall so that traders get kind of better experience and the visitors get a better experience. So it's a proposal to put the stage midway, but obviously we could just go back to what we usually have and have it by the bandstand. I don't know if you've got any comments or feedback before I move on to the next bit.
I gave my feedback, so I'm the only one.
Do you share it now, Marie?
I was against it being in the middle, but that's just because it always seems to work better up the top. We tried different ways, but that's just my opinion. But I said that you all should have your say.
I agree with that because I think people come in, well, if people stand on stage watching stuff, they want to come through that way, but like a bit of a logjam, wasn't it?
Literally just about to say that as well, potentially could stop that flow of everybody walking up.
Yeah, and there was a 10 rounds
walking back down.
Yeah.
Could just be a big congregation of people there and sort of prevent more people going to either end in that sense.
Yeah.
Any other comments? I mean, I think it's quite an interesting idea in terms of the way that it's in the middle of the event. I think I can see both sides to it. I think we've not tried it in the middle before. So we've tried to stage at either end, but not in the middle before. So it's worth doing.
I was thinking of two things with regard to it being in the square. From recollection, all of the kind of main cafe areas around that area are up that end. And I think people like to sit outside and, you know, look on the periphery and watch what's going on. I also think that it's very close to the toilets. And so that's like another reason for it to kind of be up that end. I just want the event to be put on, but I worry having something in the middle whether actually it would introduce a conflict with some of the businesses, because most of the businesses that, they haven't said it directly to me, but I've had feedback that the businesses in those areas don't particularly like us closing the road. And so it may well be that it has an opportunity for more of a conflict with the business community. I don't know. Anyone else want to make a comment? Okay.
Would the stage at the Elizabeth Square be of help to the football movement?
What do you think? Did you hear that question, Davina?
Yeah, so thank you for that. So we've had this stage there, or we've had a second stage there at the Big Street, the first one, and I think there were potentially some additional challenges around that anyway, but it didn't seem to draw any additional footfall down that way. We had some feedback that the footfall for last year's Big Street at Elizabeth Square was slightly improved, because obviously we turned it into like a kids village, so there was a lot more kids activity, etc. So it did get better at that end. I think we either need to not use the square if we're having the stage at the top end, or have the stage in the middle. And just to comment on the point around the kind of congregation of people, it's absolutely obviously something that could happen, but if we're strategic with how we place seating, and the reason that area was chosen is because it is such a wide kind of side road here, so you could set the stage back slightly further, and use all of this wide space here for seating, etc. So you can kind of suggest the flow of where people congregate a little bit more. It's not that far from the toilets, and it creates that halfway point as well. And I get your point, Ethan, about the feedback from some of the businesses around that way. But I think we worked better with them last year, and there was less friction around the road closure because of the advance notice, and we gave them stuff to give to their customers as well. And so there was an improvement on some of the relation last year as well. So it's definitely still something to consider.
Yeah, just a quick point, with the stage being in the middle. It is a bit of a walk from Elizabeth Square to Stanley Square. It's a bit of a walk, and if you're down one end and want to get up to the other, that's a trek and a half. And it being in the middle will cut that time down in half if people need to get there. I see the value of having it in the middle. It's just the logistics around it. People go to toilets and stuff.
The other additional benefit, the other additional benefit is around allowing the space for us to have the larger elements of play, because it allows us to use the square footage that we have on the squares to put the slightly bigger elements. And so putting the stage on either of the squares might just note it might affect some of the entertainment that we can have.
And I think that would spread out the people, the children and the families on both squares.
I think it is more, from my perspective, I think having it in the center would be more practical. And the reason being, you have enough space, as you can see, if you want to put some chairs. I do not think it's going to obstruct traffic moving up and down. And if you're going to have the play areas at both ends, that's just going to pull the parents with their kids to move in those areas. So it's not like it's going to obstruct traffic. I mean, it's a good idea to put the plays at both the ends of the square so that people, the kids would be the ones to pull their parents around, and you have that flow of footage across the Eats place. So I think it would be a good idea to put it in the centre.
Any other comments?
Just one thing, Chair. The on the south side of Queensway, where that is, there's only 2 pedestrian accesses roads into Queensway. On the north side, there's 4. So it's essential that whatever goes into Brooklands Road there maintains pedestrian access. So whatever stage we put in, or if it does go there, you've got to maintain an access point through there safely.
Sorry, can I ask a question? Is the stage going, which side is the stage going? So
when you say
on
the Brooklands Road side.
So basically on the road near the Agora.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the restaurant, the slots.
Barbershop is next.
Postal club's just on the left.
Okay. Sorry, Sam.
That's okay. All I'm worried about is it creating a bit of a bottleneck there and people not being able to go through properly. We've got a herd of 100 or so people sitting there and other children and everything. It's just the flow of the pedestrians going past. Is there going to be enough gap? Is there not? You don't know how many people, I don't know how many people turned up last year at that area of Square and up.
Thousands attended the event, but obviously spread over the course of the day. So it's hard to predict, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if you've got something really good on today, you can have sitting there. I'm just saying, just in case, health and safety and all that.
The only other thing that I think might be an issue there is, are there more residences closer by that might complain about sound?
Yes, that as well.
Well, I think the sound is going to affect all the residents in the area of Queensway, wherever it is, really. But I think the point about the flow and the movement is an important one, and it will rile people if they can't get down Brooklands Road as pedestrians. That will.
Have we got to have a health and safety check, haven't we, before we put on the event?
Oh yeah.
So why don't we ask the professionals and see what they say about it? Because they will tell you if it's not possible or not, wouldn't they?
It's probably not a health and safety issue.
Well, it would be if it's all clambered with people, wouldn't it?
It's a logistics one, isn't it?
The advice that we'd get would be based on a desktop assessment rather than somebody coming out. But we will definitely run the layout by our health and safety people, which is what we do every year.
I mean, that's all I'm worried about is.
I think it's been enough debate is anybody going to put forward a proposal on what we're doing?
Okay, the stage at Stania Square. Sorry, Elizabeth Square.
I don't think this is Elizabeth Square. This is what's being proposed is Brooklands Road.
Yeah,
so you want to propose the stage at the other end
at Elizabeth Square.
No, Elizabeth Square. Bandstand side or the bandstand, Stania or Elizabeth. Elizabeth.
Can I just make one point? Can I make a point? If we what's proposed on the screen at the moment, if we put the stage up the other end, where are we going to put the children's play equipment? Yeah. The big items. Because that's the reason why they're using both squares, because the play equipment for the children are quite big. Yeah. So where are we going to put that if we move the stages back? And we need to consider that, where we're going to put the children's play equipment.
Can I just ask Davina, is there room for one of the bigger pieces of equipment to go in the location that we're looking at now, or is there insufficient space?
Not effectively, no. The only one that would be able to move really would be the curling, but then you wouldn't have space, for example, by the bandstand to have the hippos and the stage and seating, etc. Can I just add something? It might be worth speaking to the stage people and the health and safety people literally like tomorrow and getting more information. Is more information required before a decision can be made?
Surely we could fit, it's only got to be 1.8 of filter either side at this stage. So just put some railings up and you can filter them through both sides. So these ones
Yeah,
what
but
I've
it'd be
done.
more safer then.
So,
As long as it was
so
cordoned and kept clear.
that's a good point. But we have a proposal. Is that going to be brought in, or are we going to seek more information before we make a decision?
Can we just vote on that? Well, we're going to have the stage and then we can go from there.
I would rather leave it to the experts. If we're not careful, we're going to design a camel.
Okay.
A committee job, isn't it? Why don't we?
Okay, so I'm going to make a proposal that is done. So are you going to withdraw your proposal? Yeah. I'm going to propose that we that Davina goes and speaks to the professionals, and the information is provided to the event working group, who will make a recommendation for council to follow.
Yep, they'll need to make the decision.
Sorry.
They'll need to advise the officers, and the officers will make a delegation.
Let me propose that the events, this matter, the information will go to the events working group, who will make a recommendation, and the matter will then be delegated to the town clerk and the chair of council to make the final decision with the providers. Do I have a second now? All those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? I do believe that was unanimous. Happy with that, Davina?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, and I think that you are not required for any further business if you want to kind of take or anything back.
Decision to make.
So one more item. Sorry about that. A bit too quick.
There's two more decisions. Sorry. Funded children's meals. Are you? So the proposal is for £5 per head. Working with one or two of our vendors to provide funded 300 kids meals.
Yay or nay? Yeah, that's a yeah.
So is this money being costed into the budget?
Yes, it's already in that. It's already in the number. Yeah.
And can I ask a question? And it's literally just a question to councillors. Would it be better to give more people a half price meal than 300 free meals?
No.
Do you think we should do like 300 free?
Yeah.
Okay, I could go with that.
At the moment, yeah.
All right.
Still first come, first served.
Yeah.
And how will we issue them? Is it just anybody can kind of select them, or is there a process?
I think they should be handed out from the main town council stand.
But first come, first served.
First comes, so not means tested, not through groups, it's just whoever.
Yeah.
Okay, so all those in favour of.
Sorry, so you don't want us to go through food bank or work with the larder?
I mean, are you going to be able to do that in time? Have you got time to sort that out?
Yeah.
I think maybe delegate this to the.
Okay. More discussion maybe, let's delegate it and the same proposal as I said before.
Yeah.
So all those, is that seconded?
Yeah.
Yeah, all those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? Thank you. So did you get that, Davina?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so this one I need a decision, please. So the main ride, and this obviously hangs on the stage location a little bit as well, but essentially it's a decision between this one, which is called a twister, and potentially a helter-skelter.
I've been one of those.
The proposal is that it goes. The proposal is that it goes at Elizabeth End here. It's as an example, if we had the health skelter, it's obviously quite a focal point as you walk in. It kind of denotes the start of the event area. The main difference is the helter skelter is 2,100 and the twister is 3,100. They're both staffed. Yeah, and they both fit in that area. I think that's the. And then Marie and Terry had some feedback about it. I don't know if you want.
Davina, would just out of interest, would that help a skelter fit in that bandstand space that you've got potentially at the moment?
In the stage side road, no.
Okay, it's too big.
It's too tall.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so is there any recommendation, any proposal?
Quick question, what's the age restrictions on both of them?
So there's no real age restrictions on them, but the Twister does move at pace. So they have a height. They have a height restriction, which I think is probably your average kind of 6-7-year-old.
That one is rapid. That's really fast.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but it does obviously, you know, we have got quite a lot of items for younger children, so there is an argument to say that this might be
too much.
So I think if my son was going, he would want that. But I think we've got to consider the audience that we get. And actually, for over the last 2 events, I don't think that we get a lot of teenagers. I think it is mainly small children that come to the event. And so actually, what if we went for the Twister, we might end up with rides that nobody might go on, because I think there's a lot of, whereas you might get a lot of, you know, toddlers go on that, or, you know, kind of awkward. So we might go
how big is it?
How big is this, Davina? Do we know in height?
I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, sorry.
Big.
Yeah.
So, members, all those in favour of the Helter Skelter? And all those in favour of the Twister? And anybody who doesn't want to vote? Okay, so I think that it's the Helter Skelter. So I think that was the Helter Skelter.
Great, thank you very much. I think that's me.
Got what you wanted. Is that what you wanted?
So can I just clarify?
Sorry, one second.
Yeah, can I just clarify? The events, you've agreed to have a working group for events. You've not agreed to have a subcommittee with decision-making powers. We talked about having a subcommittee with decision-making powers, and tonight you've agreed not to do that. So if you want to delegate decisions to the working group, basically you have to delegate the decisions to an officer who will then act in accordance with the wishes of the working group. And it will be minuted, and it will be the working group's decision. I will follow the working group's decision unless there's a health and safety issue that I can't reconcile. But so I'll be making the decision, but it will be a delegated decision in terms that you've said tonight. I mean, I can also consult the chair as well.
Okay.
I just want to make that clear that we haven't got a working group with decision-making power.
Do you not want to? We can't change that.
Well, you can change the working group into a subcommittee, which is we've talked about before, but then you need to meet.
So you can only make decisions like final decisions if it's a subcommittee. You can't do it if it's a working group.
You can only delegate powers to an officer, a committee or a subcommittee.
Still need to come to the environment.
Huh?
It still has to come to the environment and the committee.
Sorry. But presumably the chair is going to take instruction from the working group, which works.
Yeah.
Then you've delegated it to an officer.
Yeah, we will take instruction, but Terry, it won't come back to the committee necessarily, because these decisions need to be made very quickly. So we need to organise the working group meeting quickly, and then the decisions have to be made quickly. And if you're in any doubt about how that goes ahead and you feel that we ought to have a subcommittee, well, we'll need to revisit that at some point, not tonight, because you've already made a decision.
Okay. So everybody's happy with that? We will all move on now. Okay.
Thanks, Davina.
Thanks, Davina.
Okay, thanks, Davina. Okay. Final item is to review and approve service provider proposal from independent providers for employment law and health and safety advice to the town council, and to determine the provider and contract length to be selected. So I think we've got 3 proposals from 3 different organisations. I've just checked online and all of these items have been tabled, haven't they? So there is no item in fact for them to be.
No, this is what's been tabled because until today we were still having discussions with different providers.
So everyone's got this.
So everyone, if we haven't got this, has everyone got this?
We've got Russia.
Okay, so as you know, the council have previously procured.
So do you want to?
So do any members want to discuss this information with the names of the providers in the meeting? Do they have any questions that they want to ask about anything? Because that will decide whether we have to go into a private session. No. Okay. So the councillor has previously procured the provision of employment and health and safety advice. The renewal was last in 2021. Procurement has previously been for a period of 3 years, and we've had the same provider for 6. As part of a regular procurement exercise, officers have requested quotations for both 3- and 5-year terms on the basis that a 5-year term is usually more economical. Contract value was anticipated to be below the level required for 3 floats with no requirement to go to a full tender. The current provision has been satisfactory, but some issues with the software provided within the contract, which is not flexible. We received 3 quotes at a cost of 3 years and 5 years. The cheapest quote has been provided by the 3rd provider in that list, and that is also the officer recommendation to go to. So do any members want to discuss any of these numbers in detail? No? So I would propose that we go with provider number 3 on this list. Do I have a seconder?
Second it.
Okay, all those in favour?
You just clarify the term.
Oh, sorry. I would be proposing for the 5-year term. All those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? No, so that is carried unanimously for provider number 3 on this list. Thank you. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. For those members of the public that are watching online, thank you for joining us. This concludes our town council meeting this evening. Thank you very much.
Sorry.